The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mohsen-Zia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People, based upon a real-life relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamohsenzia.com and www.amazon.com/Mia Mohsen-Zia.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, along with Amazon and Audible, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a very uniquely talented, wonderful lady based out of Los Angeles. She's a singer, fashion designer, and creative director, just mashed up all in one, which is very, very unique. And she graduated from the Morangi Institute in Paris, and she's lived in the LA area pretty much most of her life. And she has a EP called Cannibal. We'll be playing one of her songs in just a minute. And she's a fashion designer and just makes a lot of great fashion statements and really knows how to make a fashion statement on this one. We're going to talk about that. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, singer, fashion designer, and creative director extraordinaire, the very, very uniquely talented Emily Daccarett. Emily, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. And don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. I mean, we're just regular people. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at your profile as well, too. And I have to say that, I mean, what you do is just really setting things on fire. I got to say that. So you basically have been in fashion design for quite some time. You graduated from Marangoni Institute in Paris. You also spent some time at Musicians Institute in Los Angeles. And, of course, you have an EP, which is called Cannibal. And you basically just have some very interesting collections as well, too. And you have your own website, shopping, and whatever else. And you just simply mix music, fashion into a really sexy brand, which just absolutely just takes French, Paris. Oh, I'm so tongue-tied over this here. And also music and the power of Los Angeles all into one. Before we get into all that, tell us how I first got started.
Well, honestly, since I was little, since as far back as I can remember, I've just loved fashion. And my mom really just instilled this like passion for me. She would sew like as a hobby, and so I loved going with her to pick up fabric. And one thing that I loved to do was when she was sewing, I would get under the table and just kind of fall asleep to the sewing machine. So, yeah, since I was little, it was just a thing of like, okay, what do I have to do to become a fashion designer? And I just remember knowing I wanted to be a designer even before really even knowing what fashion meant. But at the same time, music has always been such an important part of my life. I was put into dance class when I was 5, and I love dance. So those were the two things that I just set out to do. I just kind of knew like, okay, well, I'm going to do whatever I can to be able to be a dancer and a designer. But then once I was starting to look at colleges, and I actually by like junior year, I kind of just thought like, well, music is always going to be there, but I want to learn like the fundamentals of fashion. I want to be able to really understand how to not just design on paper, but make patterns. So just cut and sew, put all those things together. And that's when I decided to just study fashion design. And the one place that I always wanted to go and just felt like I would definitely find myself there as a fashion designer would be Paris. So I applied to Marangoni, and I got in and moved to France, fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the music, with everything, and just started to work on my own personal style. And then so I went to 2 schools there, and then I interned for about a year, and I met another designer who worked at this very prestigious like luxury brand. And he asked me, like, what is it that you want to do in life? And I said, well, I've always wanted to eventually have my own brand. And then he told me, well, if that's the case, then you should do it now, because there are so many of us designers that we feel the same. Like one day we're going to have our own brand, but then time goes on and you have more responsibilities. So it's just better to do it now that you're young and have the energy, because later on you probably won't. So, yeah, that just kind of like set a little fire underneath me, and I decided to come back to LA, and I knew I wanted to do it in LA because it just felt like it still is a very young city when it comes to fashion, and we're still we're still developing our own like fashion identity in comparison to like the major like fashion cities like Milan, Paris, London, Tokyo now. So yeah, I just thought like, okay, I want to do it in LA. And I always like loved perfume campaigns, like those beautiful commercials. So I didn't see those anymore. And when it came to like fashion collections, so I wanted to also, with the collection I was going to launch my brand with, create or produce a fashion film. And I got in contact with an independent company here in LA called Tiger House Films and pitched to them the idea, and they loved it. So we started to work right away on the new fashion film that was the story that I was inspired for my collection. And the way I design is I kind of like make these stories, and it's through the story that then I'm inspired to design, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So we did that, and when it was time to put this song, which I had picked, and it was this French song from the 1960s, Je t'aime moi non plus. Well, we had to wait for the approval of the license for it to be used, and it was taking way too much time, and the show was about to start, and I was like, by chance, it's crazy, I was showing for LA Fashion Week. So we went to a film composer in LA. His name is S.P. Nestades, and turned out he also loves French pop. So that day we just started writing the song that we would use for the fashion film. And we did that, and it was just like this really beautiful experience of like film, music, and fashion during the LA Fashion Week. And it was something, kind of different from what you would normally see during like LA Fashion Week. And I just really wanted to kind of bring in like that Parisian feel to it, and just like this nostalgic feel of the 70s. So just after that, I started to collaborate with Peace on the music for every collection afterwards. And after some time, I just thought, like, I love writing music, and I want it to be more present in my life, and not just something that I do, twice a year for a show. So I took some time off and went to the Musicians Institute to work on like my craft as a songwriter, and learn how to use a couple DAWs and start producing demos for myself. And it was during that time that I started writing the songs that became my EP, Cannibal. Once I graduated and I had these demos, I went back to Peace, and I was just like, you and I have such an amazing relationship. I feel like you're the only person I would really want to, to work with me on this, because it was something just so personal. I've always felt very confident in fashion, but when it comes to music, I think it's because it's really a reflection of my feelings, and just really opening myself up. So I just wanted to work with somebody that would be very sensitive to that, I guess. And I knew like he would definitely add that cinematic flair that I love in movie soundtracks, and I wanted that to be in my EP. So we worked on it and released it last November. So here we are.
That is amazing. And you're mixing stories, music, and fashion all in one. And of course, you have like a fashion line that's based on a story, like say a story of, a story of love, a story of, food or whatever it is. Like you just take that and you just make a fashion statement, like out of, I'm trying to describe this here, like with like say the theme of it, and you just take that and say that's your fashion line, like say of love or say work or anything like that.
Yeah, the last one I did, it was a bit of, because I love film too, and I think that I do a lot of research just looking at older film. So the last collection I did, I wanted it to be a bit more sci-fi, which is something that I love too. A little bit of sci-fi mixed in with like old spaghetti westerns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Take me to you later, partner.
Well, yeah, I saw the screening that they did at here of Clint Eastwood's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I'd never seen it before. So the whole time I was just like, oh my God, I love this. And the style of his coat and the hat, and I knew like when I become obsessed with something, it's probably going to be my latest inspiration. And but also I wanted to mix in this like sci-fi element. I love, which is why I've always loved the 70s too, with like Jane Fonda's Barbarella, just having that very sleek, almost cartoonish, but just so contemporary look of like of how they thought, the future would look like. So those were like the two main concepts. And then from there, I just kind of came up with the story of, basically it was this girl that was kind of trapped in a bubble, which happened to be this old Western town. And throughout like the collection, you kind of start to see a little bit that maybe she's not human and could just be that she was an alien who landed in this old Western town and has kind of made time stop. So has made it like just everywhere else the world has moved on except for this like old ghost town.
Wow, that is amazing. And we'll talk about some of your influence as well too. It sounds like you got a lot to cover. But first, to listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, along with Amazon and Audible and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here, singer, fashion designer, and creative director, the very uniquely talented Emily Daccarett, here on the Mike Wagner Show, from Paris to LA and back and forth with love. And we talked a lot about fashion, talked a lot about music, and also many influences movie as well too. And since basically you're a fashion designer first, who are some of your favorite fashion designers growing up?
My favorite, Yves Saint Laurent. He, as far as like the older ones, I fell in love with the way he took elements from menswear and just made them so sexy for women. And I just kind of fell in love with that whole concept, and just he added so much fantasy, color, textures into his collections, and it was something so beautiful. And I've seen a couple of exhibitions that have shown like his collections from the past, and you could pretty much take any outfit, in which he designed hundreds and hundreds. It was insane. And if you were to wear it today, it just would still feel so modern and relevant, and just like so ahead of any fashion trend. And I think that's what I just loved about it, that it felt so timeless, and it was daring. So it wasn't that, it was necessarily boring or conservative, but there's just certain techniques that he used that has made these pieces just so timeless. Besides him, another, one of the first that I really loved was Coco Chanel. I think it, most aspiring fashion designers do tend to just kind of fall in love with Coco Chanel in the beginning, and so and then later on just like contemporary. Oh yeah, I loved what John Galliano would do, which was very like just fantasy. Like he'd have like these elaborate, crazy just sets made for the fashion shows when he was creative director of Dior, especially his earlier years. Alexander McQueen, just so cinematic and moving, and like to this day there are a couple of shows that I watched where I can't help but like tear up, because you can like feel the passion and the love behind it, and yeah, I think those are some of my top ones.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you talk about the cinematic element as well, too, and some of the many fashion designers you had mentioned, going to the cinema as well, too. What are some of your favorite movies growing up? We talked about sci-fi and more, and what are some of your favorite movies growing up, and what were your favorites?
I love all genres. I still, to this day, I love all the Disney classics, and because of like that whole like fantasy, I love to like look at the origins. So I'll look for like the darker origins of that. And I don't like horror films, but
scary.
Lately I've been horror films. Like I'm a scaredy cat, but lately I've been looking into like John Carpenter's films, and I love like the sound design. I love just, it's not camp, but it just feels like very organic, almost like if you're there and someone's there with the camera. I have a love and hate relationship with Blade Runner.
Really?
Because, yeah.
That was a pretty good movie, I'd say.
Yeah, because I love the concept and I love everything that it inspired future writers and filmmakers after. And I don't know. There's something about the story that I feel like the whole concept of it is far more interesting than the actual storyline. Mm-hmm. And what I love more is like what like people's speculations about it, and definitely like the imagery. I love the visuals. So when the new one came out, Blade Runner 2049, basically the same thing again. It was very long, I felt, but visually stunning. Again, the whole like world that they've created, I love. I just don't think the story is as strong as it really could be. Mm-hmm. But I reference these movies so much in Cannibal, it was, I was inspired by the visuals, and I knew I wanted to have like something like that in Cannibal, and it also kind of inspired the sound design.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, too. And as we venture over into Cannibal and the world of music and everything else, here with Emily Daccarett, singer, fashion designer, and creative director here on the Mike Wagner Show. And who are some of your favorite artists and singers and musicians growing up? I just love the 80s. I think it's because my parents were always playing it. So we were always listening to Queen, Blondie, my mom and grandma, always Michael Jackson. So I just really love like 80s pop all around, the Bangles. And then from my dad, a lot of 70s rock. And so a lot of like also like Fleetwood Mac, and even like kind of more like bluegrass, like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. So I just had a very like broad interest in music, but it just never was like contemporary. I just kind of liked, everything I personally never lived through. I preferred that, and I just kind of preferred the sound of it. Also, David Bowie has been a very big influence. I mean,
I'm just so amazed at how many times he reinvented himself, creating different characters, which would then mean a new complete album and sound from him. And so many times he was at the top of like a music game, but then he would switch. And while most artists would probably, you know, try to stay with like what's working and like, okay, this is good, this is hot, I'm going to stay with it. He would just change because for him it was always just about expressing himself artistically, and I loved that, and I think he's one of my top influences, and I have a lot of also like French influences, like film or composer, singer, songwriter Serge Gainsbourg, who wrote a lot of songs for a lot of like the singers we know now, like Vanessa Paradis. He also did a lot for Jane Birkin, and I just loved like their whole romance and everything that kind of came out of that romance. So I would say those are some of my top ones.
And of course, you know, being on top of the game too, we're going to play one of the tracks from Cannibal from Emily Daccarett. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play. Also on Amazon and Audible and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here, singer, fashion designer, creative director Emily Daccarett, from Los Angeles to Paris and back with love and more here on the Mike Wagner Show. Right now, here's one of her tracks from Cannibal. Here's Growing Addiction from Emily Daccarett right here on the Mike Wagner Show. great song, Growing Addiction by Emily Daccarett here on the Mike Wagner Show. And tell us more about that song and what inspired you to write it, Emily.
Thank you. So actually this song, it was the first one that I wrote for my EP, and it kind of just set the whole mood for it. I wanted to write this like very sexy, cool song to one that you would use for like the runway show. Mm-hmm. So yes, but honestly, when I first wrote it, I started with the lyrics first, and it was inspired by a date I had gone on, and just kind of like that whole like new infatuation that you get when you go out with somebody for the first time and you don't really know like what's going to happen, but you just know you like the person. So I wanted to write a song that just kind of talked about that. And yeah, the reason why I was laughing is just that when I first wrote it and then put a little melody to it, it sounded exactly like a Disney song. Wow. One that a princess would sing.
I can imagine a song putting it to, say, The Lion King, or what is it, Beauty and the Beast, or Cinderella, or Snow White, or something like that. It's just like, come on, Prince, I dare you to kiss me. Now eat that apple, babe.
Right. And the chorus was different. And so, this was exactly the opposite of what I wanted to do, which was a more like sexy, sultry song. So I went back to the studio and I took the chorus out. I started to work on a new track. And because the one before I had sung it to a friend who just very like, I mean, it was so sweet of him to offer, and he, wanted to record his piano playing to my song. So I went with it, but it just was not what I needed. So I went back to the studio and started working on my own track, and started to record it, and everything just kind of came together. And when I got to the chorus, it just kind of came. And I wish all songwriting was like that, but for this one in particular, it just kind of came and it fit. And I knew like, okay, this is the sound that I wanted. This is where I want to take my music. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love this song.
And of course, you also got a few more as well, too, in Cannibal. You got the title track, Set Fire to the Fear, and Red Light. And tell us about those three, including the title track.
So Cannibal is actually, what it talks about is how we let like all the obsessions we have of it could be someone you're dating or in a relationship with or work or whatever, but it's just like those things that kind of take up all your time and all your headspace. And we don't realize that by doing that, we neglect ourselves and slowly are turning into a self-inflicting cannibal. Mm-hmm. So that's what Cannibal is about, and also just kind of like bringing it back to yourself. And at the end of the day, only you can make yourself happy. Uh-huh. And also just like that's why I chose my EP to be Cannibal, because I felt like everything about the songs and everything that I was kind of going through while I was writing these songs and going to music school instead of, taking a break from just designing that year, it kind of just all culminated. And I felt like, yeah, Cannibal just felt like the perfect title for my EP. And then Set Fire to the Fear, is also like an open letter to myself, just of really just letting go of all the fears and doubts that I had going through this change of pursuing music as well as my fashion, but giving like music an actual platform, and just doing it and, and enjoying it and really feeling like this box that I had felt I was in, that I couldn't really like express myself 100% because I was, silencing that part of myself, which was singing and songwriting. So, that's what Set Fire to the Fear is. It's just about letting go of that fear and just enjoying being me, enjoying like this new discovery of hopefully like my art. Mm-hmm. And then Red Light, I wrote while I was listening to a podcast, and this was about 1960s LA, the Sunset Boulevard, with Sharon Tate, and it talked a bit about her career, and then, the tragic Manson murders, and just everything that was kind of going around that time with like the music industry, film industry, and just the Sunset Boulevard with all the nightclubs. And so I was listening to it, and I just started to like hear lyrics and started writing that. And I also just kind of, thinking about like, even though LA does have this very dark past to it, and most people, like, if you're coming here, you're going to have to make big sacrifices to pursue your dream. It still doesn't push us away. And there's something about LA that is still so seductive, and it makes you like drop everything and move here. So, that's what Red Light is about. Just how that mentality and that seduction is true just as much as it was back then.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing work you have. And where can we find Cannibal at?
You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Tidal, Deezer, any major streaming platform, and it's also on YouTube. I think those are the main places.
Mm-hmm. That's a very amazing. Looking forward to what you have. Once again, we're here with singer, fashion designer, and creative director Emily Daccarett here on the Mike Wagner Show. In just a few more minutes with Emily here. You've been absolutely great. Love to have you back on soon. And what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond, Emily?
So I've been working on a new album, and it's about 9 or 10 songs. So that's it's right now loosely scheduled for January 2021. I'm also working on a new collection that's inspired by this new album, and I'm coming out with some really cute like activewear pieces inspired by Cannibal. So it'll feature like Cannibal neon sign, and not just film, but I love animation and anime in particular. So I've designed these characters, and they're anime inspired, that kind of represent each song. So they're going to be featured on like these like really cute like sportswear, activewear clothes.
That is amazing. Looking forward to that. And lastly, who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh boy. Well, in my career, I think as far as like work ethics, I have to say my parents. I grew up watching them become entrepreneurs, and my dad, he moved us here to California from Arizona, and we had moved a couple of different places before that. And then he and my mom decided to start their own company when I was very little. And just, I think having that example just really made me feel like, of course I can go out into the world and do exactly what I want and conquer without any fear. And I feel like, they've just been such a big influence on me to not feel like I can't do anything, like that there are limitations. They've just taught me that if you work hard and honest and And also, if you love what you do, you can overcome these obstacles. So, yeah, my parents.
And it's not a job either, too, as a Geico lizard would say. So,
yeah.
and what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Do not be afraid of changing. So many times, I think just like the fear of changing what you're used to stops us from evolving, and you also feel like, well, no, I've already, I made my bed, now I have to lie in it. But that's not the case. I feel like, we're just constantly adapting. Every year we learn something new. So don't be afraid to change, no matter like where you are in your life, in your career. It's okay. Don't fear it. Yeah. That's
very true. Once again, singer, fashion designer, and creative director Emily Daccarett here on the Mike Wagner Show. Emily, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to your music or check out your works?
So you can go onto my website. I have two. The first one is emilydaccarett.com, and that's for the fashion. And then I have emilydaccarettmusic.com. Both sites I have online shops on there. And you could buy and find my music on iTunes, Google Play Store, Amazon Music, and please look forward to the new stuff I'm coming out with as far as like new fashion. It's going to be coming out when it's something a little bit Halloween themed later this month. And then in January, I have my new album and collection coming out.
And so looking forward to it. Once again, Emily Daccarett, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And keep in touch. You've been absolutely great.
Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.